Today I'm going to be ranking the Mass Effect Squadmates in the original trilogy. So this is Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. And no, we will not be ranking Andromeda Squadmates. And I've recently done a playthrough of the Mass Effect trilogy on the channel. They're all in their playlist if you want to go and see them, of course. And yeah, simple tier list format. So we're going to start with Mass Effect 1 characters. I may as well, before we get straight into the characters, I may as well explain this real quick. So I played the Mass Effect Legendary Edition 3 times, completed it 3 times. Of course, I did it once in the channel recently, but I've actually played it 2 times before that in my own time. And I've also completed Mass Effect 2, the original Mass Effect 2, and the original Mass Effect 3 back in the day twice. I unfortunately never played the original Mass Effect 1 because the original Mass Effect 1 didn't get put on PlayStation 3 until like 5 years after launch. Believe it or not, crazy. And also didn't have that DLC. So, and yeah, I never experienced Mass Effect 1 until the Legendary Edition, which is kind of crazy. But let's get straight into this. So we'll start with the we're going to start with Mass Effect 1 characters. So, where we'll start with Caden, because he's the first character you technically ever have as squad mate. Unfortunately, our Jenkins is squad mate as well, but Jenkins, well, we all know what happens to him. So, Caden. Also, forgot to mention, I would strictly rank them mainly as squad mates. I will not really bring up the romantic parts because you have to play the trilogy like I think it's between like 10 and 14 times if you want to romance absolutely everyone in the trilogy that you can romance. And I ain't going to romance certain characters in the trilogy. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Because yeah, you know. So Caden, Mass Effect 1, yeah, pretty boring character. I mean, he's alright in Mass Effect 1. What else? So what? So you learn about his background. He's like biotics and all that type of stuff, and what he did to his teacher. And that's kind of interesting. Of course, you can romance him if you play his friendship, but we're not. I'm going to try not to talk about romances here as much as possible, but I will try and bring them up a little bit. Mass Effect 2. He's a Mass Effect 2 for like that Horizon mission. He shouts at you, so does Ashley. They're both freaking really bad. The human characters are really done poorly, I think, in Mass Effect. Um, Mass Effect 3, you can bring him back again, of course. You don't get him killed in Mass Effect 1 at the end of Mass Effect 1. You can get him back. He doesn't really develop more of his story. I mean, the hospital and that's kind of sad, but it's Caden. I mean, D tier. I don't really have much to say about Caden. He's quite boring character. Quite generic. Not the best written. All right, let's talk about the opposite human that you can also get killed in Mass Effect 1 as well. Ashley. So, Ashley. Ashley in Mass Effect 1 is an outright racist. We know that. But you find out later in the game why she's a racist because her granddad had to surrender in the war or something like that. I can't remember the exact details, but her granddad lost a battle or something like that, and they want to look up to her and they don't want that to ever happen again in their family, which I completely understand. And once again, she's back in Mass Effect 2, a tiny bit back in Mass Effect 2. But she hates on the player again. She's like, "Oh, why do you join Cerberus?" Well, I don't want to join Cerberus. The game forced me to work with Cerberus. I mean, it does have its reasons, but Cerberus did save your life, so I guess it makes sense. You kind of have to work with people that saved your life, and I mean, especially that type of way. So yeah, that was interesting. Then we got Mass Effect 3. Ashley changes a bit. It was kind of strange about Mass Effect 3 as well. Like Ashley's looks completely different. I don't know if they had to get him different voice actor or something, but I think it's the exact same. So not the same voice actor. What's the word I'm looking for? The same way she looks. She looks a bit different. I don't know if the face design or something like that was changed, or they did that deliberately. To be honest, it's probably a good design because it looks a bit better in Mass Effect 3 compared to Mass Effect 1 and 2 anyway. I think personally. Changes predicts the alien, but once again, pretty boring. I mean, it's this is such a hard choice. Like I'm gonna put her in detail as well, but I mean, who would you rather get killed? Mass Effect 1. I mean, they're very poor written characters. I know there's fan base for these two characters, but they're just not that good written. Like, uh, I don't know. I usually keep Kating alive more likely than Ashley, just because he's not a racist. Not an alien racist, but she does have an excuse to be an alien racist. You know what? I'm gonna keep her on D tier as well. All right, let's get to someone a bit more interesting, shall we? So we're gonna stay with Mass Effect. So who is the third person you can pick up in Mass Effect? I would say Garrus. You technically pick up Tali before you technically pick up Get Rex before. Really doesn't matter the order. So Garrus, let's start about Garrus' story. So, start Garrus is or Garrus, or whatever the frick you want to call him. Uh, he's a CSEC officer that's investigating Saren. He thinks Sharon is very suspicious, and guess what? He turns out to be right. But his officer superiors are like, no, 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 no. But he ends up working with you. Um, I will say his story's quite basic in Mass Effect 1. He's got that side mission where he wants to go after that doctor guy. He's not the best written character in Mass Effect 1. Like, if I was just ranking him in Mass Effect 1, I'd probably put him a little bit down on the list. But let's talk about him in Mass Effect 2. So, Mass Effect 2, he's a bit of an upgrade. So, does more of that. So, he goes to Omega to get rid of Crimes and that because he actually wants to do something. Of course, this can affect if you do a Renegade playthrough or you do a Paragon playthrough. I think some of the decisions he says during the trilogy changes as well, which is kind of interesting. Like, in Mass Effect 1, you can encourage him to just kill these criminals. Or Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 1, you can also encourage him to do stuff by the book. Of course, you can't do everything by the book. So, yeah. His loyalty mission is quite interesting in Mass Effect 2. I wouldn't say it was the most interesting I wouldn't say it was the best loyalty mission, but it's certainly interesting. But the only problem with Mass Effect 2, Garrus has a little bit of a problem as well. If you play as a male Shepard, I feel like his lines, he could have had a little bit more lines in Mass Effect 2. I think his lines were a bit like you would only have like 3 or 4 conversations. I can't remember exact, but you would only have a couple of conversations with him in the entire game, and that would be it. Unless you possibly brought him in missions where you'd say the one line in that every character in the trilogy does that. So yeah, then Mass Effect 3, absolutely amazing. Mass Effect 3 is actually a massive improvement in Mass Effect 3. Constant dialogue. I mean, I think Mass Effect 3 is the best game in the trilogy when it comes to like dialogue and like I mean, gameplay's dependable, but we'll talk about that another time. But I'm going to put him in the S tier. He's an absolute amazing character. Great, and he's in all 3 games as a freaking squad mate. That's going to add some points as well. I've got to give some points to that as well. He's a squad mate in all 3 games. Yeah. So, yeah. Alright, let's go to the next one. Rex. So, Rex is a Krogan. He's got a very interesting story. A sad background. You learn that he comes from Merc because the Krogan race is pretty much screwed and just have bad background due to the genophage and all that. It's very interesting. His family armor mission's quite interesting. Getting the armor on that and learning more stuff about that. And his showdown that you can get him killed. Jeez, you can actually get him killed in Mass Effect 1. Jeez, you got some guts. I mean, you got some guts if you go out your way to kill Rex. I gotta say, of course, most people probably get Rex killed because they rush through the story too much. They don't pick the right Paragon and Renegade unlocks and the skill points, which is really, really stupid mechanic. I think they should have changed that in the Legendary Edition, personally. I think they should have just removed that, where you have to spend, like, skill points on Paragon and Renegade points. I think they should have just made it like the way it is in Mass Effect 2 and 3, where it's based on how high your tree is, not, you have to spend points on it in the skill trees, and I think that was a bit of a silly decision, in my opinion. Personally, that's a bit of a stupid decision. The fact that you can get him killed is absolutely messed up. But you only need 8 points in Renegade or 8 currency Paragon, so it's not that bad. And of course, you get the family armor, you're guaranteed to more not get him killed. But I think you actually still can get him killed with family armor if you pick all the third option. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think you actually can still get him killed, but you'd have to go out your way to actually do it. So Rex, then you'd have to like shoot him or something like that, but you'd have to be an absolute maniac. So Rex again returns to Mass Effect 2, but he's not a squad mate. He's back at his chunk out of Homeworld trying to fix stuff and that. He's now a clan leader, trying to restore stuff, and he's much better than his brother. I've never actually counted his brother because I've never killed Rex, but I'm gonna eventually do a playthrough of this trilogy where I'm gonna get Rex killed, just so I can get the absolute max war assets possible in Mass Effect 3. You know what I'm talking about. You know. What else? What else about Rex? For Rex returns to Mass Effect 3. You help him cure the genophage, which is absolutely amazing for his race. It does seem like a true leader that actually would stick and keep the Krogan in control after the end of Mass Effect 3. I think he's a generally great leader, and he would actually say, listen, we need to not go to war with the galaxy. We have our problems with our galaxy, but we should not start another massive war. We need to chill out and calm down, and I think Rex could actually do that as a leader. And also, did you know that Rex is actually a squad mate in the Citadel DLC? I know you only get him for like 2-3 missions, but you can actually get him as a squad mate in the Citadel DLC, the Citadel Party DLC in Mass Effect 3, which is a cool, really, really cool thing. Rex is an absolute amazing written character. The only bad thing about Rex is he's not that much in Mass Effect 2, but I think overall his backstory and what you learn about him is quite sad, but it's interesting what he does for his people. So I'm going to put him. I'm actually going to put him at the top of S tier. I'm going to put ahead of Garrus, despite the fact that he's not really in Mass Effect 2, and Garrus is more in Mass Effect 2. What I mean by that is in Mass Effect 2, but you only have like freaking. There's only like 5 lines of dialogue you can have with him, and that's about it. So Garrus, absolutely. Rex, absolutely amazing. Garrus, absolutely amazing. So, all right, let's go next. Tawi. So Tawi is kind of hard to rank when you're not talking about romance, but I will say you can't romance Tawi in Mass Effect 1 regardless anyway, so it's kind of Lara as well, if you're just being serious. So Mass Effect 1, Tawi talks about her privileges, and it's kind of weird that Mass Effect 1, like, Tawi's what, like, fucking 16 years old or something, I'm not entirely sure. God, what age do they even go in what age do they even go in their programs? You don't actually, I don't think the game actually tells you what age they go in the program, but it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of, because it's like, I guess technically are the age of consent, but that is a bit strange. So Tavi's story is quite generic, right? It's not the best written in Mass Effect 1, I'll be sure, but I love Tavi, but our Mass Effect 1 is quite basic. But she is absolutely amazing at fighting Geth, I'll give her that in Mass Effect 1, she's probably the best companion to take when you're fighting Mass Effect 1. Fighting the Geth. I forgot to mention this in the list as well. I'm not really going to be ranking squad mates on how good they do in difficulty because it's up to personal preference. Also, I know this is a personal preference list as well. Take that into consideration. Jeez, I'm losing my words, but you know, I don't chat. I don't. I'm saying chat now. It doesn't. Just forget what I just said. I don't script these. Let's just say that I don't script these tier lists. So talk about Mass Effect 2, Tawi. So Mass Effect 2, Tawi's loyalty mission is absolutely amazing. So you actually meet Tawi at the start of the game, Mass Effect 2, but you don't pick her up until later. She wants to help you and all that. And you learn more about the Quarian race and that, which is interesting. Just one Quarian, which is really cool about the trilogy. You learn a lot about the Quarians and all that. You actually encounter another Quarian if you... What's that guy's name? Oh, the super fan guy. I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure you can count it on the Quarian Mass Effect 2 as well. Like a fourth one that's not inside the Quarian base, but you have to get him that you have to not talk to that guy like 3 times Mass Effect 2. What's this for fan? I forgot his freaking name, but we're not talking about him anyway. Unfortunately, he's not on this list. I mean, they should have actually. I hope in Mass Effect 4 they actually do put him in the game. It'd actually be hilarious as a squad mate, like the super fan type of guy. What's his comrade? That's his name. All right. So Tawi's loyalty mission in Mass Effect 2 is really, really, really good. I mean, about her father experimenting on Geth, trying to figure out ways to make the Geth's weapons, and she gets accused of treasonous and that, and you can affect the trial on that. And the options in the trial are interesting. You can be a scumbag and just outright say guilty, or you can be another one say not guilty, but still blames her father, which is kind of a messed up one as well. Then you've got another option where you can rally the crowd, which is the best option. Then you get the renegade option, which is renegade option's pretty good as well. Rally crowd's easily the best option. The renegade choice is interesting. I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's the worst. Then you've got what's the other option? The Baragon option's kind of boring, kind of bland. But Tawi's absolutely amazing. Amazing written character, however, I can't put Tawi in the S tier. If this was a romantic list, yes, I would put Tawi in, but we're not doing a romantic list. This is just squad mates only. So I'm gonna have to put her on the A tier just because her dialogue in Mass Effect 1 is quite bland. I would even say her dialogue's actually Garrus has better dialogue than Tawi in Mass Effect 1. It's really bad. I mean, not really bad, but it's quite basic for the first game. Alright. Next we got Liara. So Liara. Also, Tawi's also in all 3 games as well. So, tempting to put her on S tier because of that, but no, because Mass Effect 1 dialogue's a bit. I mean, so's kind of Garrus, but she doesn't. I mean, she kind of does have a mission in Mass Effect 1, but you just have to collect Geth parts and you just drive around the Mako for 4 missions. And I mean, I made the argument say the Doctor mission's actually a lot more interesting than that. Alright, Liara. So Lara's also in all 4 games, all 3 games of Trilogy, of course, as well. You don't really help her in Mass Effect 2. I mean, you do help her on a DLC Mass Effect 2. But let's talk about Mass Effect 1. So Mass Effect 1, you pick her up later in the game when you go to that planet, that faraway planet, which I've completely forgot the name of. I'm sure someone will know the name exactly. Lara's certainly an interesting teacher. Like a scientist at like 106 years old, and I don't know what 106 years old is considered in that, but she's barely an adult. And she likes ship, and she wants to practically fuck ship up. Like, like in the second or third conversation, which is which is certainly interesting. So that's Mass Effect 1. Then got Mass Effect 2. You don't really encounter her at all in the base game, but you help her on the Shadow Broker DLC. She's got a decent amount of dialogue in Mass Effect 2, but not the absolute most, not the absolute least. Then after that, we've got Mass Effect 3. Lara's a very good written character in Mass Effect, especially the romance. It's quite interesting as well, especially Mass Effect 1 as well, but we're not talking about romance. It's here, Lara's dead serious when she becomes a Shadow Broker, and obviously at the end of Mass Effect 2. Got some neat dialogue, got some cool stuff, but I don't know. I'm gonna put her on A tier. I think A tier is good enough. I don't think she's an S tier squad mate. I mean, Biotics and that are quite good, but I'm not really going to be talking about gameplay when it comes to squad mates because I don't fucking go and play Insanity difficult constantly in this trilogy. I'm sure if you play Insanity difficulty, you probably know what the best squad mates are for the combat situation, but I'm not going to do it there. So I think A tier is a good one for Alana. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, Mass Effect alone, like Mass Effect 1 alone, you got like, yeah, you got like, okay, maybe Mass Effect 1 put Tara down here, but still, Mass Effect 1, the aliens are much better than the human characters. Mass Effect 1 alone. That's so crazy. Alright, let's go to Mass Effect 2. Let's get the freaking obvious out the way. Jacob Taylor, the most annoying, most generic, boring character in the franchise. Seriously, really boring. Just a standard soldier. I will say something. His loyalty mission is actually not too bad about his father and that. Like his father screwing over him and his father like screwing over the crew and that. That is an interesting loyalty mission. He's got best dialogue for that mission. However, when you complete the loyalty mission, you don't really want to talk about it. So yeah. Then you meet him again in Mass Effect 3 as well. He's not Mass Effect 1. Um, and he ends up just not, he doesn't really care about the war and he just wants to have a baby and all that. And I'm going to bring this up. I know this is not a romantic tier list, but I've got to bring this up. I got to bring this up. If you're playing as a femship, of course you can date him and all that type of shit and do stuff with him in Mass Effect 2. But in Mass Effect 3, he fucking cheats on you. He fucking cheats on you. And his like wife, girlfriend, what the fuck her name is, freaking be mean and all that if you play as a femship. She's like, you suck. So for that alone, no. He's so no. That I mean, I'm not talking romance, but holy fuck, man, you don't just cheat. Cheat is the last thing you do. That for that alone, disrespect, massive disrespect. But he's just not. And also, his father's story background is actually is I mean, I don't live in America, but it's kind of it seems to be a thing that happens in those types of neighborhoods in America where it seems to be like their dads abandoned them or something like that. I'm not going to go into more details than that, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Straight up said probably racist stuff on the channel before anyway. But I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's family background, alright. Alright, Miranda. So Miranda, Mass Effect 2 gets introduced. Miranda, Mass Effect 2 at the start is quite bossy and quite moaning and that, but she develops as a character. She's a genetic perfect human. Once again, this is not a romantic list. I'll keep saying this all the time. So nothing to do with that. We will be ranking here. Our loyalty mission is, it's okay. She cares about her sister and all that. It's an interesting background, and you can outright say no, don't talk to your sister. Though that doesn't seem to make a difference in Mass Effect 3 at all. That choice doesn't seem to make a difference in Mass Effect 3, which is kind of odd, but that's the way it works. I think it does change something at the end of that, but she won't talk as much as some of that. But that's about it. So what else about Miranda? But Miranda develops as a character, gets better throughout Mass Effect 2, but her loyalty mission's kind of meh. Mass Effect 3, she's not a squad mate really at all. She's not a squad mate at all. Mass Effect 3. She's an alright character. She's an interesting character. I'm going to put her in B tier. I'm going to be nice and I'm going to put her in B tier. She's not the best written character in the trilogy, but she's not the worst written character in the trilogy. I'd put her probably like middle of the road, but I'm going to put her in B. Because she is an interesting character, but just not the best. Alright, next we're talking about is the Solarian, Morton. Who doesn't like Morton? I mean, there's probably people that absolutely hate Morton because he sings and he talks constantly, but he's a Solarian, which is a different which is completely different. You don't get a single Solarian in Mass Effect 1, so it's completely different. Mass Effect 2, he's practically there, practically the main plot of Mass Effect 2. And some of his loyalty mission, I mean, his loyalty mission is you just fight for a bunch of guys, but pretty much most of Mass Effect 2 missions, unfortunately, you just fight for a bunch of enemies. But same as all the trilogy, to be completely honest, but especially Mass Effect 2, you just constantly fight to do the loyalty missions. But regardless, I'm not here to talk about that. Um, he's pretty much the key factor of the story, but the fact is you can kind of influence what's going to happen in Mass Effect 3, the decisions you make, like the cure genophage. If you don't keep that part, that genophage fact, you sabotage it. Not sabotage genophage, but you know what I'm talking about, the loyalty mission of Mass Effect 2 at the end of the mission, where you pick up that like cure part or something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but you can destroy it and then can mess up Mass Effect 3, or you can keep it intact, which it's up to you. Really depends on the person. But he's really good run. Mass Effect 3, unfortunately, is not a squad mate at all, Mass Effect 3, but his dialogue options is cool, Mass Effect 3, though I will say this one, and I don't think anyone really talks about this, but in Mass Effect 3, you know at the end, when he goes up to the tower to cure the genophage and he clicks the cure button, why does he sing? I mean, I respect him for singing, right? Everybody, you do whatever you want when you're about to die, but he literally had about 5 to 10 seconds to run back to the freaking area, get down, and save his fucking life. Seriously, I seen that. I counted it on stream, and I was like, "What?" He could have he could have had enough time when the explosion wouldn't have killed him, and he potentially could have survived that. But very good written character, and it's kind of interesting. He comments on some of them, Mass Effect 2 as well, depending who you're romantic, which is kind of interesting. He says, which is kind of funny in a way. Um, but I'm gonna put. I mean, I think he's more interesting. I'm gonna put him at B tier. I'm gonna put him at the top of B. I think he's more interesting in Miranda personally. His background and that, it's like an SGG spec up and all that. I forgot to mention that. He's an interesting character. All right, let's talk about the next character, which is Sai. So I'm not got a lot to say about Sai. He's a mercenary. Pretty good, really good in combat. I'll say that. His loyalty mission is kind of interesting. He was one of the creators of the Blue Sun, but he got betrayed, and he's so obsessed with revenge. And it's actually kind of messed. Talking about Sai, you know, it's kind of messed up about Sai. There's an interesting thing in Mass Effect 2. If you save Sai's loyalty mission and you do it after you complete the game, you can literally get him killed. You can literally just let him die. It just fly away. That's literally a fucking option in the game. You can just let him die, fly away, and just abandon them. That is literally a freaking option in the bloody game, which is such an it's kind of a messed up option, but the fact is they made that a thing is kind of interesting. He returns in Mass Effect 3 as well, but he's not a squad mate. Mass Effect 3 is like you talk to him a little bit in Mass Effect 3, and that's about it. And we'll turn up to the Citadel party, which is kind of interesting. Got some interesting lines like the clone shepherd and all that. He wants to set up traps and all that. It's interesting. I mean, I'm going to put him in the C tier. I think, even though he's quite a mercenary, he's not got a lot of lines, and his Mass Effect 2 lines are kind of meh. I think he's a more interesting character than Caden and Ashley, personally. I do think they learned their mistakes from Mass Effect. I mean, fuck that. And the Mass Effect 2 DLCs, I think they learned their mistakes from the human characters from the main game. But yeah, okay, let's go to the next one. Let's do Kasumi. We'll do Kasumi next. So Kasumi is an interesting character. Cares about our boyfriend. Our loyalty mission is great. It's a loyalty mission. I would say an A tier type of loyalty mission, like you infiltrate that guy's base and all that. It starts a very good loyalty mission to start, then it kind of gets generic and it's kind of just fine towards the end. But you get really good SMGs. I could mention the SMGs in the loyalty mission. Like if you're playing as a class they can't use an assault rifle or can't use a sniper rifle, the SMGs, oh man, the SMGs are really good. You know, you want to use those SMGs. I can't remember the name. I think they're low, but they're very good at Mass Effect 2. I think they turned to Mass Effect 3, but who's going to use SMGs in Mass Effect 3? Let's be honest. But very good weapons, but we're not here to talk about missions. Our loyalty mission is interesting, but she's not got a lot of lines of dialogue. She's kind of boring. I mean, she's a great companion to take though in missions. I will say that, but I'm not going to really rank the mission because she can sneak behind our special ability in it, which is kind of cool. But I think you can do that as Shepard as well if you place an infiltrator class. So that's interesting. I mean, I think she's more interesting written than Caden and Ashley, but and you also get a Mass Effect 3 for that mission as well. And she's kind of she's an interesting character, but I mean she's got a lot of dialogue. I mean, human characters I think are personally poorly written in the Mass Effect trilogy, but yeah, she's not bad. You know, she's not bad at all. All right, next we got Jack. Jack. I think we can know most of us can agree that Jack is an absolute amazing written character. So Jack shows up in Mass Effect 2, and she's an absolute psychopath. But she's an overpowered character with biotics, absolute crazy. You want someone to do some work, you bring Jack. Yeah, Jack. So Jack's got a messed up background. She's constantly betrayed. A loyalty mission's interesting. Though I will say once again, it's got that Mass Effect 2 problem where you have to fight a bunch of missions to actually get to the interesting part of the loyalty mission. But that's a Mass Effect trilogy problem. I mean, they could remove some of these some of these generic shooting scenes out of the trilogy, and probably could have. I probably would put it maybe in my like top three games, or maybe like my top two or top favorite favorite trilogy all time. But because some of the combat sections kind of off, it's probably I'd put it in my top five. I actually need to do a ranking one day of one of my favorite games all the time. But regardless, Jack. So like, our loyalty mission is really good, and she wants to. If you talk to her, she says, "Why don't you stop talking and just fuck?" or something like that. You get that as an option, and then she ends up hating you if you say no, no, no. But then she grows as a character over time. Certainly an interesting character, I would say. She's absolutely up there. Great writing character, and you get her again, Mass Effect 3. Unfortunately, Mass Effect 3, she's got some screen time. You do it for the Academy mission and that, which is interesting. You also get her again, like a little later in. You can talk to her for a couple of lines. Then you've got the Citadel DLC again. She turns the Citadel DLC. And yeah, certainly interesting. It's a very good written character. I would say she's actually more interesting than Miranda. I would actually say she's very close to Miranda. I mean, I think her loyal. It's hard to rank. But I couldn't. Would I put her on an A tier? Would I put Jack in A tier? Nah, I can't put Jack in A tier. She's just not got enough screen time. She's just not got enough screen time in like, the third game. She had more screen time in the third game. I probably could put her up. Same goes to you, Morton, man. You two guys had a lot more screen time in Mass Effect 3. So I ripped my man Morton for dying. But if they had a lot bit more screen time in Mass Effect 3, yeah, I probably could consider putting them in A tier. Alright. Let's go with. We'll go with Grunt actually first. Grunt. So I played this game like the Legendary Edition for the first time because I haven't played the original Mass Effect 2 in such a long time. And I hear Grunt's voice and I'm like, is this Tank Densmate of Call of Duty Zombies? He literally is the exact same voice actor, but he literally sounds like Tank Densmate of Call of Duty Zombies. I'm like, am I playing Call of Duty Zombies here? Because he literally sounds like the same, but it's obviously the same voice actor. I can tell it's the same voice actor. But that kind of shocked me at first. I was like, whoa. Um, so his loyalty. Let's talk about when you first. So you can outright just. So obviously, I forgot to mention, you get a lot of these characters killed in Mass Effect 2. You can get most characters killed in Mass Effect 2, but of course in Mass Effect 2 you can also just outright ignore Grunt and just not activate the tank, which is kind of a messed up fucking option. You can just outright not activate the tank. Um, so he's obviously not a proper Krogan. He's more of a tank breed, which is kind of interesting. It's different. But his loyalty mission, oh, the trial, that's such an interesting type of mission, like trial. Then the fact is, he's super powerful and that. I mean, it's not as good as Rex. I mean, I'm more of a Rex fanboy than I am Grunt, but Grunt's absolutely amazing, and his mission in Mass Effect 3, like the Rack 9 in that, and if he's loyalty, he ends up surviving at the end of the mission, which is absolutely amazing compared to that generic Krogan that will just die if you don't have Rex. I think if he's not loyalty, he dies in Mass Effect 3. I'm not entirely sure about that, but you'd have to correct me in the comments. But I think if he's not loyalty, he actually can die. I think he will die in Mass Effect 3 in that mission. Yeah, Grunt, absolutely amazing. A bit basic, but I really, really do like Grunt as a character. I mean, is he good as Rex? No, he's not. He's not as good as written as Rex. Mainly because he's not Mass Effect 1. um, I mean, I'll put him here. I'll put him in the B tier. I think he's a good written character. Not the best in trilogy, but not the worst. I like him as a character. All right, let's talk about Fane the assassin. So Fane's got a bad backstory. He's like dying slowly and all that. It's quite sad. Especially Mass Effect 3's like the hospital and all that. But you learn he's an assassin and he tells you about his life story and the fact he's one of those creatures. I can't what the fuck is his name? Is his creature? What's his species name? It's not coming to my head. It's crazy. You just play a trilogy, right? And a week later, you can literally forget the fucking names. You forget the names of like the creatures, the species, and all that. The Predators, he got saved by the Highlander and all that. That's the whole morals type of stuff, and he's got this illness and that. But his loyalty mission is really, really, really good in Mass Effect 2. Like, I will say that a lot of fathers will not admit fault when their son goes down the back track what their father does. So if their father's like a criminal, then their son becomes a criminal, and somehow the father's still alive, which most times the father might not be still alive unless they're like a very organized crime father or something like that where they're still alive. Most sons will end up following their father footsteps and become like a criminal or become a bad habit themselves just because it's just the way it is, unfortunately. But the fact is, he comes out and he admits he was wrong. He doesn't want his son to be like that, and he actually genuinely cares about his son. Koliak, I think his name is very, very good. I mean, it's not the best loyalty mission, I would say, because you're kind of just following the guy, but it is very good. He meets up with his son, and he manages to redeem his son, and he slowly calms his son down and says, you should not be killing people and that. You should not follow my footsteps. This is my footsteps. Don't do that. You shouldn't be doing that because you've not got hired, not get told to do that. So yeah, that makes sense. Then Mass Effect 3, very good scenes. You can also banned Fane as well, which is kind of interesting. Mass Effect 3, once again, loyalty mission. Not loyalty mission. You meet him again, Mass Effect 3. He helps you from the assassin. You send him a doctor, then he helps you. Then he gets killed, unfortunately, by Ken Line, which is actually really, really sad. I mean, I even look at it when he fights Kerlang as well, and I just think when he gets killed by Kerlang, like, just imagine if that was 6 months ago. Had that been 6 months or a year ago, Kane Lan would have been dead right there. Kane Lan would have been killed right there. He would have been killed off scene. You know what? I would have put a smile on my face if that happened. If he just got killed right off right there. But they would have not had another villain to put Cerberus there. Who the fuck would have looked? Who the frick would have worked for the Lucifer Man if they killed Caitlyn off? Let's be honest. It's really sad his sacrifice. His story's really sad, and he's also a bit more on the Citadel DLC. Learn more comments about him in that. Like his final line dialogue that can get to Shepard because of the invasion and that. I'm gonna put him up. I'm gonna put him at the top of B tier. Actually, I'm gonna put him in the top of B tier. I really like him as a character. Very interesting character. The only problem is he doesn't have the most lines. That like if you get him at the end of Mass Effect 2, then you're not gonna experience all his lines of dialogue. Like if you get him in the second act, then instantly his loyalty mission starts off. You're gonna miss a few lines of dialogue, which is a little bit unfortunate, but the Mass Effect 2 kind of has that problem. Alright, next, we got two characters actually, right? So we'll start with Samara. Samara. Yeah, Samara. Samara is a Asari Justica. Got an interesting background, like these types of like not red tape, but I guess in the real world you look at it like someone that just gets the job done. Like let's say there's a bunch of criminals on that, and they just need to be killed off. No, you just to kill them. Your purpose is to get rid of them, not to do all the thing by the book. That's pretty much what Justica is. Obviously, they follow everything by the book, and they have their religion and all that, but they don't have pity on criminals. Our recruitment missions, it's okay. I mean, Fane's recruitment missions kind of met as well, to be honest. In fact, I actually forgot, but his recruitment mission's not the best. I'm gonna put more of a hand him just because his recruitment mission. Recruitment mission could have been a bit better. It's just shooting like freaking up like 2 floors of bad guys. That's literally what his recruitment mission. Samara's recruitment mission as well. Just got to shoot a bunch of bad guys on there. But our loyalty mission, Samara's loyalty mission, very, very, very good loyalty mission. Great loyalty mission. One of the best in the franchise. And this is one of the loyalty missions you can actually make your decision. You can get ready to kill Samara and you can have Morton, which we'll talk about next, which is kind of messed up. Then she disguised herself as her mother on that. That is a messed up decision. That is a messed up choice you can make, but it is certainly interesting that you can do that. That's a fucking option. So yeah, it's a messed up choice, but it certainly is interesting. So my character is I wouldn't say she's the best written, but she's all right. I mean, I think she's more interesting, more interesting. Her background's a bit more interesting. She didn't really talk about her kids that, but I would say her background's a bit more interesting than Kaden and Ashley. I'm sorry, Kaden and Ashley, but I think her background's a bit more interesting. I would say that. All right, let's talk about her daughter, Morton, the crazy psycho bitch that just lures like young folk in that, then sucks them or kills them, or I can't remember these like one of those psycho people that kill you when you're having sex or something like that. Fuck knows, I can't remember, but she sucks. She does some life train some or something like that, which is completely messed up. He screws them over like that. Extremely powerful, extremely dangerous. The fact is, but the only way to get her is you got to kill her mother, like that, and that's the only way to get her as a companion. And she gets some lines dialogue, Mass Effect 2, but not much. She kind of just sounds like a much. She's got sexy lines as her mother doing most of the lines. She's very good at hiding her real voice. And the end of Mass Effect 2, she can kill you. Yeah, she can kill you at the end of obviously after you complete Mass Effect 2, you talk to her. She says, "I want to do this," and she'll end up killing you. So that's kind of fucking messed up. Then in Mass Effect 3, she'll send you one email. Then at the end of the final mission in the game, a lot too late. The final mission in the game, she'll be a banshee. She's literally a fucking banshee, and she just dies. I mean, what can I say? I mean, she kills Commander Shepard. I mean, I think she's better written than Jacob, I'll say that. But she just doesn't have a lot. Nah, I'm gonna have to put her in F tier. I was really concerned. I was thinking D tier. I was thinking D tier, but the fact is, she just kills you off as an option, and you fail the game. I gotta put her in F tier. I gotta put her in F tier thinking about that option. All right, next. That's crazy, man. Mass Effect 3 only introduced 3 characters. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so we've got Legion. Legion. Who doesn't like Legion? Legion's a great character. Loyalty mission, quite interesting. I mean, you first get him, recruit him in the IRFI mission, you put him right at the end of Mass Effect 2, which kind of sucks. You don't get a lot of dialogue with Legion because he's literally at the end of Mass Effect 2. I know you can get more dialogue, but if you want to save all your friends in the suicide mission, you practically have to. You practically barely get any dialogue at all with Legion. I think his dialogue's a bit lackluster, but really good written character. Once again, in Mass Effect 3, he helps you out, then he just dies at the end of Mass Effect 3, and it's really sad. This says you don't have a soul, which is a really cool line. Quite sad line. I mean, hopefully we don't. I hope AI doesn't come that. I mean, AI already is coming that advanced, starting to think for themselves. Fuck, I mean, the Korean Gulf War is an interesting factor that actually could maybe happen in reality one day, a few hundred years down the line, if AI ever gets that advanced. A potential war where we get kicked off our homework. I mean, I don't think they'd be that extreme, but fuck, that could actually be a thing. He's a very interesting thing. Also, Legion's another character that you can outright scrap at Mass Effect 2, and you only get like 5,000. I think it's 50,000 credits, or is it 5,000? You barely get any credits for doing that, dumping them as the gift. Then you have to fight them at the end of Mass Effect 3 if you do that option. But if you do that option, of course, you can't restore. So, not a lot. I mean, but I'm gonna put him up. I mean, I know technically he's not a squad mate in Mass Effect 3, but he's a squad mate in Mass Effect 2, and it's my list. So his ending mission at the end, where you can restore peace between the Quarians and the Geth, is probably one of the best things you can do in gaming, and it's absolutely freaking amazing. And for that alone, I'm gonna put him up. I'm gonna put him up to B tier. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B tier. I was considering putting him in C tier just because you just don't get a lot of dialogue from him. He's a cool character, but it's just the dialogue. You just don't get a lot of opportunity to talk to him and that. But his mission is the thing in Mass Effect when you restore peace between the Quarians and Greth. Yeah, that is an absolutely amazing choice, and I love it. That's a great choice. All right, here we go. Mass Effect 3. Let's start with the Humming in Mass Effect. Crazy, Mass Effect 3 only just 3 characters. Jeez, I swear to God, I thought it was more than that, but no, only introduced 3 characters. Wow. Let's start with James. So James, it's kind of hard to rank Mass Effect 3 characters because only in one game. So James, interesting background. So he was actually doing Horizon in Mass Effect 2 when the Collectors attacked. You learn a bit about his background in it, what happened, he messed up his squad in that, which you first learn when you first, and you like, he's one of those guys that like to fucking work out to extreme. I mean, I think everybody likes to work out, but see people that fucking like work out like fucking 24/7. He's one of those. I mean, anybody who built like that, if you really took work out that serious, but I don't think he's a bad written character. He wants to become part of the N7 program and that in the game. He doesn't have the most amount of lines. He's quite not the best writing, but he calls you local if you allow him to, or he'll call you commander if you don't allow him to. He's not a bad written character. I don't think he's bad written. A lot of people hate him, but he doesn't really have much. I mean, he's got some funny lines. Like especially in that mission. That mission where you first take That mission where you recruit Tawi and you can bring Tawi with you. He calls her Sparks or something like that, and he sees some interesting stuff about romance and that. In the Citadel Party DLC, he says, "Do you and how do you and Tawi do that? How do you and Garrus? How do you?" I don't think he says it about Lara, but he says it about some other characters. He says, "What do they have down there? You know what I mean?" Yeah, I'm gonna put him up. I'm gonna put him up. Is he more interesting than Samara as a character? I've also got to talk about Samara Mass Effect 3. The fact that she can kill herself in Mass Effect 3. It's kind of fucking messed up. But you can try to stop her from killing herself. Is he more interesting? Is he more interesting? Yeah, I would say he's more interesting. I would say he's more interesting. He's got some funny lines. He's got some interesting lines. And I think he has a better written character than Katie and Ashley. Alright, Edie. So, technically, Edie is in Mass Effect 2, but she's dead serious in Mass Effect 2 until like the end, you know, but I may as well talk about her in Mass Effect 2. So, she's the ship AI in Mass Effect 2. Of course, she's ship AI in Mass Effect 3 as well. Mass Effect 2, you learn more about Edie, and that is really, really good. But here's the problem with Edie. Alright, Mass Effect 3, she ends up controlling this robot. But there's one missed opportunity, I think, with Edie in Mass Effect 3. They should have had a romance option, Lamont, really. I know. I mean, Joker can do it, so why can't your character do it? I mean, that would have been an interesting choice, but if Mass Effect 3 came out a few years later, that probably would have been a choice. I would imagine that would have been a choice where you can romance CD, but we're not talking about romance here, of course. There's not a romantic tier list. Yeah, she's quite. She learns something once she learns about humans and all that, and she's an interesting character. I'll say that. I mean, let's see. Let's see. I'm thinking C or B. I'm thinking C or B. I'm losing my voice by this. I'm kind of speeding up now. C or B. C or B. C or B. I mean, she does save the ship Mass Effect 2, but technically she's not a squad mate then. Which is a good thing. I'll say C. I'll say T. I'm gonna put her at the top of C. I think she's she's a pretty decent written character, but I mean, it could be better. I think if they had a romance option already, she probably could have went up a little bit in the list. I think potentially maybe like a B tier, but I know it's not a romantic list. But a dialogue's interesting in that you can make your choices and all that. But I mean, you should bring her a couple of missions. But you know, they should have really made it. You know, was kind of a disappointment for me for Edie was the fact is we'll see when you can pick up Jacob in Mass Effect 3, his mission where you meet Jacob in Mass Effect 3. She just doesn't say anything at all, and I think she should have surprised Jacob, and I think that would have been kind of funny. Personally, I think she would have said something to Jacob, and Jacob would have been like, "Oh my god!" I think that would have been funny, but no, they didn't make it happen. That opportunity. All right, next is Javik, the Profiing. So Javik's background is interesting, a very interesting background. I reckon 9 out of 10 people were expecting. I don't know if he's leaked any trailers of that, but when they first seen Java a Profian, they're like, oh my god, a Profian. They probably thought, oh, it's going to be a Profian scientist, is what Lara talked about, not just some like soldier. And he's ruthless. He is freaking ruthless. He's like commander. Like he wants you to make all the bad decisions that could mess up your war assets. He literally tells you that in the entire game. He's like, no, we should be doing this. You should have sabotaged the Genesis HQ. No, Senate, the Geth do not deserve a chance. They should be just destroyed. All machines are the same and that type of stuff. That's the way he thinks in that. And he's got a reason to think like that. Because if you let him read the shard later on in the game, he talks about it's like, oh, does this how about your romance apps? This encourage you, this make you stronger, you know what I mean? Tell you to keep going. And he says he used to once think like that. I think no, I can't remember if he said that, but if you allow him to look at the shard, which is unfortunate, if he looks at the shard, you end up committing suicide. You don't see that in the game, but he says that at the final mission of the game. He says, "Oh, I'm going to commit suicide," and if you don't do it, if you pick the other option, he'll say, "Oh, I'm going to do some studying or something like that." He says, which is kind of interesting. But he says he'll go back to his profane homeworld and all that type of stuff and commit suicide, which is quite sick. But it makes sense why that's an option. But if you do allow him to read his shard, he's got an interesting background. He's his ship was infiltrated. I think he was the captain or the commander of his ship, so kind of like Commander Shepard. But in his own timeline, where the fuck is that game? bioware. Can we have a game that's set through the Prothean timeline? That would have been, oh my god, there's so many games that could do in the Mass Effect trilogy, man. Jeez, like they could do the before the war. Do that great war. What's the war? First Contact War, or they could do that, man. The briefing one. I think that would have been. I think that could have been interesting to explore in a game potentially. Yeah, that's really cool. His background in that, and you learn why he's so ruthless and it, like. But he does develop as a character. He gets very, very good in the character. I would consider putting him in an S tier. I think he's a very, very, very good written character. But here's one problem with him, and I'm gonna have to put him in A tier just because of this. This isn't a problem in the Legendary Edition, but in the original Mass Effect 3, scumbag EA made him a fucking DLC, a launch day DLC. Even though it doesn't make a lot of sense. I've also got to talk about that in the Thesia mission, the Asari Homeworld World mission, the fourth final mission in Mass Effect 3. He'll say, no, 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 it's not your god. Your god was asked by Promethean. It's not it wasn't actually a god. She was given powers, or she was given help by the Prometheans. And he says that a lot, and it's kind of funny, that line. But anyway, I can't put him in S. I think he is an S tier character, but I can't put him in S tier because, as I said, scumbag EA made him a freaking DLC. You had to pay money to unlock him. They made him a fucking DLC 1 character. And they made pretty much a character that is kind of essential to the story. I would make the argument. Obviously, you can't romance him as well. You know what? You can't romance. I mean, I think it's fine. People say you can't romance him, but he's not an interesting romance. I don't know if you can romance him. And he's not that interesting if you can romance him, and if it is a choice. I've not heard a lot of people talk about it. I've never actually seen Jarek's romance, unlike the rest of the characters in Trilogy. So I don't know what to comment on that. But yeah, it's not the best either. But we're not ranking him on romance. We're ranking him just squad mates. But anyway, that's us. We're done to do. So this is my Mass Effect squad mates. Let me know what you would put in your list. What would you change about the list? What would you put at your S tier? What would you change? Remember, this is not a romance. This is just a squad mate tier list. So take that into consideration when you're down. And I have lost my voice. So I will see you all next time. Peace out and bye.